Let's start the recording. And let's do this. Okay. Adverbs. That's the topic of the month, no? We are talking about adverbs. We are talking about things that we, communication that we usually do, communication that we use. We have spoken about words that we translate incorrectly. We have also talked about emphasizers and words, adverbs that don't exist in Spanish, but they are very common in English, no? The word as is a very good example. Of is a good example. Adverbs that are really quite for emphasis. And one of them was the word even, remember? So there were a lot of different adverbs that give you a different intention, no? Give you a different communication way. Now, there is a standard way to identify an adverb apart from the application, the usage, and it's a little bit easier. We are talking about the ending, the final syllable of an adverb, right? Which is, are you familiar with it? What is the final syllable of an adverb?
Li.
Perfect. So let's talk about that. We have the word li. This is right here. An adverb. Adverbs give additional information about ideas, as we have said. Here we go. Adverbs give additional information about the idea, right? And we are giving three things, right? What are the three things that adverbs do? Who remembers this?
Describe the way that you are doing something.
Excellent. Number one, describe the way you do something. Very good. You do, are doing, or did something. Correct? Two.
Emphasize an action. Or
There you go.
decorate an action.
Emphasize an action. Number three.
Decorate.
Right. Excellent. Very good. Decorate the sentence. That's right. Those are the three functions of an adverb, right? And this is the introduction of this lesson. We have seen this information before. Okay. So in the idea, we have to constantly be looking after the kids. The word constantly is giving this information. Okay? Technically, the main idea is only we have to be looking after the kids. And it's not necessary to say the rest. This constantly word, right, is a little emphasis on what we are saying. It's additional information, etc. Right? So every time you have this intention, and this is something that you need to get in mind. Every time you have this intention, you need to think about the word in English, and you need to decide if you need to use the word constant versus constantly, because these are words that we know, right? And we confuse these two a lot. In order to avoid confusion and use a correct word, we need to know that technically the word constantly is a formation. Is the adjective constant plus the suffix "ly," like Connie said. Well, let's go directly to the dictionary and let's check the definition for constant. It says here constant, happening all the time, happening all the time. And then we have another option, or repeatedly. The word repeatedly in this case is describing the verb happening. We are describing the way something is happening. It's not that constant is similar to repeatedly. No. It's that repeatedly is how often something is happening. And we remember that adverbs are the answer to direct questions, such as how often, how, where, when, and why. No? This definition helps us understand that the description, the adjective, has an ing definition, has a description definition, right? When constantly, the happening disappeared. You see? It's very interesting how the word happening disappeared in this case, because now we are not talking about the description of an action. We are describing the way something happened. These small details are very important to notice. Constant has the word happening, and constantly no. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right? Does it make sense? Or no? What do you think? Right? Constantly, the difference here?
Yes, it makes sense.
Excellent. Anyway, let's talk about other examples, okay? And let's talk about this formation, okay? Some of them, right? Some of them, but adverbs are based in adjectives, okay? Help me read this idea. It's
Adverbs are based on adjectives. Adverbs have a strong connection with adjectives. Adjectives and adverbs are usually based on the same word. Adverbs often have the form of an adjective plus ly.
Plus ly.
The other two.
Yeah, please.
Actual adjective only before noun, used for emphasizing what is really true or abstract compared with a general idea. The actual number of people killed is not yet known. We don't know her actual something.
Yeah, it's incomplete, right?
Yes.
Because if you say her actual, we are describing what is white. Ta-da!
Date of birth.
Exactly.
Okay.
That was interesting that you said actual something. You know, there was like something missing. This information, this missing information was a noun.
The noun. Yeah.
The noun that we are talking about. So the word actual describes a noun.
Yes.
In the color code is blue. This doesn't happen on the other side. On the other side, if you say actually, it's probable that the information you are missing or the information that you need will be a verb, right? Help me with the second one, please.
Yes. Actually is an adverb used for emphasizing what is really true or what really happened. I need to talk to the person who actually made the application. We've spoken on the phone, but we've never actually met.
Perfect. Observations about this comparison, guys. Help me with this. What do you notice? No, you don't notice anything?
That actually needs, or not necessary, but is before a verb because it's describing the action. Or could not need it. In actual is necessary something before. No.
In the what?
In
the
actual?
Actual. Okay.
Because it's totally needed. Actual what?
Which is the structure for complex nouns. Right? If you remember the previous classes, adjectives, a series of adjectives need to go in a specific order using a specific information because they are describing this specific information, right? And these two get constantly confused, especially in this level. You know, what do we say? I need an actual way to, I need an actual fact to take a decision, right? In this particular idea, I am using verbs, I am using nouns, and I have a lot of information going on, And it's very, very possible that I will commit a mistake. Am I going to use actual or actually? You know? And even if you are thinking about the word actual, like in Spanish, actual, then that's a second problem because they look like a word in Spanish. You know, so there are two issues here that are very, very constant in students when they are trying to speak. And you know what, guys? The more adverbs that you can use in an exam, in an official certificate, the higher your score. So that's why it's super important to know the difference, to identify when you are committing a mistake, and to check how to build it. Okay, that's super, super important to check it. Do you have any other observation here?
I think that in the examples for actually is more like emphasize, but like when someone is telling you something that is not true, and it's like, actually, it doesn't happen like that.
Completely.
Something like that, like you are saying that is not true, but with emphasize.
Yes, totally. That's super interesting that you mentioned that, because we are talking about the position of the adverb, no?
Mm-hmm.
That's super interesting that you mentioned that. This is precisely what we are going to say here. Observe this. The position of the adverb determines what you'd like to emphasize. You see? In the first idea, it says, the newspaper boy comes frequently. Here, if you position the word frequently at the end, directly after comes, then you are emphasizing the verb is how often, right? The second is also how often, but there's a different intention. There's a little bit of a different communication here. Frequently, the newspaper boy comes to deliver. Now we are giving a different intonation and different communication, just because we moved the word frequently. You see? And there is also, like in the previous example, we can also say like this. Newspaper boy frequently comes to deliver. Where's my text? Here's my text. The newspaper boy frequently comes to deliver. Right? Even commas disappear in this case. See? What are we emphasizing here? We are technically emphasizing, the action, or giving a kind of a poetic sensation to the sentence. This is a lyrical communication. What do you mean by lyrical? Well, we're talking about poems, songs, etc. Other way of communication that is not part of a normal conversation, right? You can read it in books, you can listen to this in songs, right? and that changes the way you communicate. So the position of this is also very important to distinguish. When you are listening to people talking in English, check the context. Check what is happening. Is he in a conference? Is he in a conversation with a friend? Is he in a meeting? Is he reading a poem? Is he reading a novel? You know, because all these different settings change the position or change the communication by using adverbs. Let's give a note about that. The setting of the conversation is equally as important as the setting, the position of the adverb will affect the way people understand you. That's what I want to say. The position of the adverb will affect the way people understand you. That's why the setting of the conversation is equally as important. Do we understand what is the setting of the conversation?
Yes.
Great. In what type of conversations do you think the first one will appear? The newspaper boy comes frequently.
Maybe in conversations.
A normal conversation, okay? Casual conversations. What else? It's pretty normal, no? A pretty normal speech.
In the morning, in a casual conversation.
Mm-hmm. Casual conversation with anybody, formal or informal?
Informal.
Exactly. Informal settings. Because this is a very normal speech. Contrasting with the second one. Frequently, the newspaper boy comes to deliver. Ah, okay. Usually used informal settings. Because now we are giving a different position of the adverb. Right? Formal settings, meetings. Conferences. Talks.
In the newspapers.
Newspapers. Exactly. Newspapers. Documentaries. Science reports. Science reports and documents. Precisely. And the last one?
Poems, songs.
Poems, songs, novels. I'm trying. There was an adjective that appears in the dictionary. I don't remember this. When we are talking about, what's the name of language? Books. There is a specific word, sophisticated. No, there was another adjective. I like this text. Look at this. The language in books is not the same as the language of conversation. In books, sentences are more complex and vocabulary is more sophisticated. Adults can help young children understand book language by choosing books on topics that they are already familiar with. Yeah, that's all the information I really wanted, but yeah, precisely, this particular part is precisely saying what we are looking for. And how can we make a type of lyrical speech? That's not the adjective, but I'm gonna use lyrical, precisely using the position of adverbs. See? Any question here? Are you understanding? Do you see the point?
Yes, everything is okay.
Awesome. Okay, so let's think of with the position, right? Because the position is very interesting here, because for adjectives, that's another difference, right? Adjectives have a specific position always, when adverbs don't. What is the position of an adjective? Where does an adjective go? Do you remember? Think about a description. Where does the adjective go?
After the noun?
Wrong. Before.
Okay.
Because we're going to say the car black. All right? It's the black car. And it must always go there. We cannot switch it because hashtag English. Here, it's the total opposite. And that's another difference from an adjective. You see? A very, very interesting difference. But anyway, that's enough with the position. Now, the reason we are here, constructions, right? We have these words. We have the adjective calm, the adjective beautiful, the adjective grateful, hopeful, and we are repeating carefully. Let's go, for example, careful. No? I know, we have it already. We have homeful. No, hurtful. Hurtfully. Okay, the first thing you may notice is that when you are spelling, you need first to double the L. Okay, attention here. Adverbs formed from adjectives ending in L have double L. Take a note, eh? Double L, double L, double L. Because here the adjective ends in L. Okay, this is like for punctuation. And we have even more rules. Please read the second rule. Tell me, Luis.
Adverbs formed from adjectives ending in Y. Change the Y to I. Easy or easily. Busy or busily. Lucky, luckily.
Pronunciation.
And
How do you
lucky.
pronounce? Exactly. Haha, lucky.
Luckily. And angry, angrily.
That's correct. The Y transformed. Do you see that?
Yes.
From Y to I.
Okay.
The next rule. Help me, Chris.
The first rule,
The third.
adverbs ending in a constant, keep the E.
It's not constant. Watch out.
Consonant.
Consonant, exactly.
Adverbs ending in a consonant plus E, keep the E.
Mhm.
Definitely, fortunate, fortunately, extreme, extremely, absolute, absolutely.
Excellent. And it's important that you whenever this happens with adverbs that have an E or that keep an E, I suggest that you verify the stress of the word, right? Because there are now so many syllables and it's difficult to know what is your stress. Absolutely, absolutely, or absolutely, you know? For the best one here is in the first syllable. You pronounce it correctly, Chris. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That was correct. That was correct. Mhm. So every time you are transforming words, check the stress, guys, because sometimes it changes. Okay. But that's the point. The E stays there. Don't change it. Now, it's also very common that people say absolutely, extremely, fortunately. Watch out. The E is there, but it doesn't sound. So it's important to notice here. Adverbs ending in consonants E, keep the E, but remember, but don't pronounce it. Okay, take that into consideration.
Okay. So you said that I pronounce incorrectly or correctly?
No, correctly. You pronounce correctly, but this is a common mistake. It's a very, very common mistake. Okay. And then this is when you add li. When you add li, you need to consider this spelling. Well, what happens if you see an adverb that has a different ending? Because li is not the only ending that exists. We have also, on the other side, the words words, wise. You see, I have a very, very different thing. Okay, check this out. Help me with this rule, Connie.
There is a small group of adverbs which end in words or wise. The words can end either word or words, in words, in words in the direction of the interior. Words meaning in the direction of, eastwards, outwards, downwards.
Sorry, again, can you pronounce this one?
Eastwards.
Okay, that was tricky. Think about the four.
Okay.
The four.
Eastwards?
Exactly. East.
Okay, eastwards.
Eastwards. Continue. Eastwards.
And upwards, downwards.
That's right. That's right. In direction of. Are you familiar with these words, guys?
I only listened before outwards.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, if you heard before upwards, then consider that the rest of them have a very similar connotation, but in a different direction. No?
Yes.
You have to go upwards, and you are going to find the bathroom. No? But if you are going, for example, on a car, and you need directions for a very, very far part of the city, then you say, okay, move eastwards. Move northwards. We can add this. Eastwards, northwards, westwards, and of course, southwards. You see, coming from north, east, west, and south. Oh, and now I remember. For wise, in the manner or direction of, it exists too. East, wise. North, wise. And we use it separate. West, wise. And southwise. See, again, talking about north, east, west. Right? Talking about the compass. Do you get it? And do you understand what we are saying?
I only heard before likewise, but I don't understand completely the meaning. I always think that is like in the similar way, likewise.
In a similar way. Exactly. Precisely.
Okay.
And that's the thing about this one. Wise have two different meanings here. When you say likewise, likewise is not talking about the direction. It's a second. For word construction or relating to. So when you say likewise, you are saying this is relating to the other, or this is similar to the other.
Yes.
Likewise. And if you compare two things, one thing is lengthwise. If you are talking about money, you say business-wise, monetary-wise, budget-wise. If you feel the same as the other person, you say likewise. Nice to meet you. Oh, likewise. And it's not necessary to say nice to meet you too. See? Very interesting example that you mentioned that one. Have you heard any other word with this ending, guys?
No.
No? Never, never, never? It's very interesting because, yeah, we have it very often. Very, very often. Do you have any question then? If you haven't heard these words before, do you understand all these words? Make comments, make questions. So I don't know if you are getting all this.
I understand them, but maybe I need some examples.
Yes, definitely. Let's talk about, let's find something. Let's only find wise. Let's see what happens if we English just wise.
I don't recall all the wise men in Washington.
Watch out. This is not the same wise, eh? In this case, wise is an adjective. Okay? A wise man is a person who has experience in a field. So that's not the same wise.
Where they go, that it's equally wise to.
Developer-wise, it also became possible to share and reuse code.
What an excellent example. We have a lot of engineers here. Developer-wise, it also became possible to share and reuse code. What's the meaning of this?
It means that the correct way to develop is no, sorry. Developer wise.
I know it's tricky. Yeah. Like, it's interesting because we understand the context, but to explain is a little bit difficult, no? So it also became possible to share and reuse code.
Yes.
It was possible you can copy a code and then pass it to another person. You can pass it to another developer. That's why we are using the definition here of relating to. In the matter or in the field of developers, in the whole developer ecosystem, it became possible to share and reuse code. In the developer world, in the developer area.
That's the meaning, that it's possible between developers share code or share knowledge.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the meaning. The reason we are using the word wise is, I understand it like this. Talking about the developer world, blah, 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 blah. Or in the context of developers, you know,
Right.
that's the one. The same thing happens if we say, for example, here, business-wise, monetary-wise, budget-wise. We are talking about an introduction, like a lyrical, formal speech in this case. Let's find another.
It's light guiding the shepherd.
Trenton, we've crossed from the north to the Midlands, dialect-wise. No.
Okay.
Trenton, we've crossed from the north to the Midlands, dialect-wise.
It's a very good example.
Trenton,
we've crossed from the north to the Midlands. We are talking about different sections of a continent. Dialect-wise. So when you are talking about territory, we can talk about geography, or we can talk about demography, or we can talk about territory, war history. But this guy is giving an emphasis that we are talking about language. This means he is probably talking about the languages in that specific region. So yeah, we've crossed. Well, we haven't crossed physically. We are not in this place. We are not traveling. We are studying the languages of this area, this section of the world. That's why he said dialect-wise. In a manner that involves dialect, in a way that relates to dialect. Do you understand it now? That was an interesting one, no? It's so interesting how we are using the word crossed, right? Automatically, the meaning of the word cross is about walking, moving, to go. So when we say cross, we are going to think about cars and people walking and transportation. But then he changes the cross, giving another meaning, decorating the sentence. We are crossing dialect-wise. Yeah, does it make sense? Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah, right? What about Luis? You have been very silent. I don't know if you're understanding or you don't, or what?
Yes, I am understand.
Okay, but what are you understanding?
The adverb wise talks about context of previous word, no?
Okay, it can be context. I like it. Gives a different context. That definition was good. Watch out, not necessarily previous, but yeah, it gives context.
Okay.
Because precisely in the previous idea with the developers, the information was before. No, the opposite, after. Developer-wise, comma. No, the position changes the setting, but specifically, yeah, I like your definition. Wise determines context. Very good. Mhm. All right, perfect. Let's make a little pause, stretch, wake up while Jessie passes attendance. Hello, Jessie. Good morning.
Hello. Hello,
Hi.
everyone. Good morning. So we're going to say assessment, please.
Thank you.
Christian Rios.
I present. Good
Thank you,
morning.
Chris. Good morning. Thank you. Connie.
Hi, good morning. I'm here.
Hi, Connie. Thank you. Itze.
Hi, good morning. I'm here.
Hi, Itze. Thank you. Good morning. Jesus Cruz.
Didn't come.
All right. And Luis Alejandro.
I'm here.
Thank you, Luis. Muchas gracias. And thank you. Good day.
See you later. Have a good day.
See you. Have a good day.
Great. So this is the thing, right? And something interesting here. I need to add a very, very big etc. to this list, because as you can see, there are a lot of combinations with the word wise. There are some words that exist as concepts, you know. The word clockwise, for example, is a word that is super specific, and it exists in the dictionary. But concepts like this, dialect-wise, is technically a composed adverb, and you are not going to find it in the dictionary. Why? Because this is a combination of words. Right? This happens also with the previous one. What was developer-wise? That's not only one word. Technically, it's a combination of them. It's the adverb-wise by itself.
Wise. You can design-wise, I'm inspired by a lot of biomimic design.
That's it. Do you remember what we were talking about in the video? There you have it. Take a note there, because you are going to, this week, we are going to build an essay, composition. So using adverbs in the composition can give you very good points. Okay.
Side of the breast, we're cutting the breast in half widthwise, opening it up like a book. Then side of the breast, we're cutting the breast in half.
What an excellent thing. He's teaching you how to cut the chicken breast. We're cutting the breast in half widthwise. What's the meaning of this?
I don't understand it.
Okay. Do you know what is width?
Nope.
That's why. Yeah, you know. But we have not checked it for a long time. Read this.
The measurement from one side of something to the other, how wide something is.
How wide? This is the secret. Mm-hmm. The width of something. A bed is a very good example, because an individual bed has a shorter width than a couple bed.
Okay.
right? And it's the same with the king size and the queen size. The width changes.
Sorry,
Yes.
just for understand better, width is like in Spanish ancho? Or
That's
no?
wide.
Oh,
No. That's wide is ancho. So wide is giving the wide is the concept, and the width is the measurement.
okay.
You see the difference now?
Yes. Thank you.
Let me give you a slide that I made for the previous level, and I think it's relevant for this lesson too. Let me show you this. On this slide, you can see vocabulary about measurements: length, height, weight, depth, and width. And you can see examples here. Please screenshot. Very relevant for this lesson. It's very interesting that we came across this video because, yeah, lengthwise, widthwise, height-wise, etc., is describing the manner we are doing things like cutting or checking or measuring, you know. That was a very good example. Did you take your screenshot?
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. So those are measurements and sizes. All this can be described this way, using wise.
Widthwise. Cotta is usually butterflied. Before we do that, we're going to start by trimming off any excess fat or connective tissue. Then, starting on the thicker side of the breast, we're cutting the breast in half widthwise.
Widthwise. So how was it? Not like this. We're cutting widthwise. You see? Because that will be height-wise and widthwise.
Opening it up like a book. Then
precisely. See? Watch out, what happened? It's not loading. It was a good example, but it's not working. Julie, stop working. Or is my internet? Can you hear me? Are you there?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
So it's not my internet, it's the service. Okay. But anyway, you can see all these examples. The word wise can be combined with a lot of things. I added the information here. Widthwise, lengthwise, height-wise, all these wises. Clockwise. If you understand what is widthwise, can anybody give me an example with clockwise?
No.
The root of sorry, Connie.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
The course of water of the flush runs in this continent in clockwise.
Okay, very good. What do you mean this continent?
America, no, hemisphere, no.
Yeah.
In this part of the equator.
Equator.
Yes.
Yeah,
different with different than Australia runs over clockwise, or
no, the opposite of clockwise is against clockwise.
Against.
What's the opposite of clockwise? Wait. What the opposite of clockwise? Counter.
Counter. Okay.
Oh, interesting. Now pronunciation. Pronunciation.
Counter clockwise.
Exactly. Counter.
Okay.
So in Australia, the toilet goes counterclockwise?
Yes.
Really? That's a very fun fact. How do you know that?
I see in The Simpsons.
That's so weird.
The Simpsons.
That's a very interesting fact.
Yes. The Simpsons educate.
With very important information, we say.
Yes.
I can see that. Wow. That's so funny. So in this part of the world, it goes clockwise.
Yes.
That was so interesting. A very interesting example, eh? Very, very good example. Okay. Anyway, that's a very good thing, because clockwise is the thing. You can imagine the water going to the right.
Yes.
Right. Whenever you are playing board games, Monopoly, for example, it's very usual that in the instructions you say the first person who passes the first turn is the highest number in the dice. After that, you can go
clockwise.
Precisely. So the person in my right, no, in my left, is the next person. Right? Whenever you're playing a board game and things like that, that vocabulary is very common. And that's pretty much it. Okay. So there you have it. All these terminations and all this construction for you to know unfortunate exceptions. Because yes, English has so many exceptions that we cannot imagine. Yes, the word "ly," or the ending "ly" is common. In adjectives, no, in adverbs, sorry. The problem is that there are adjectives ending in "ly." For example, monthly, daily, weekly, and yearly. When we are talking about frequency, we don't necessarily need an adverb. We can also use adjectives. For example, a monthly paycheck. The word monthly is describing what?
The frequency.
Wrong. In this idea.
Oh, describing the paycheck.
Exactly, describing the paycheck. So, oh my God, the word monthly is not an adverb. Observation, only in this example, because monthly is an adverb too. If you see the dictionary, if you will search monthly, right? Yes, you get the adjective and you get examples where you are describing a noun, but it exists as an adverb too. The adverb, as Connie says, this is the one that describes frequency, right? She gets paid monthly. Okay, I understand that we are describing how often she gets paid. But in the previous example, we are not describing how often, because we are describing a thing. A monthly meeting, a monthly visit, a monthly magazine. Right? We have another example here. When I went outside, the light came on automatically. When I went outside, the light came on automatically. What is this? Object or cake? Automatically. Adverb or adjective?
Adverb,
You say adverb? Why is it adverb?
because it's the way that they
You're close. You're close.
is
The
the
way
is
they-
the way that the light I don't know the verb came.
You have the verb in there. Exactly. Use the same verb.
Yes.
Is the way the light what?
Came.
Incomplete.
Came on. Okay.
Exactly. You are correct. Automatically in this case is an adverb. And to be honest, I have no idea why I put it here. Oh, okay. No, it's a word outside. Yeah. Automatically is an adverb. It's very easy to understand it because it ends in ly. But outside is an adverb too. And it's not necessary to say outside the ly. Check this out. The most common adverbs that don't need ly are fast, left, hard, outside, right, straight, late, well, and of course the rest ones over here. So the word outside and all these words don't need the ending ly. Look at the word hard here. You have to bang the door hard. Why not hardly? Hardly exists, no? Yes, but it's a different meaning. Hardly is similar to almost. So hard adverb is different from hardly adverb as well. There's so much information here, no? Okay, this is going to be definitely part 1 of the exceptions. Tomorrow we're going to continue checking exceptions. Adverbs is a very extensive topic, very extensive. But there you have it. This is the first demo. All right. Anyway, do you have any question right now?
Not yet.
Awesome.
No.
Awesome. So we are going to continue saying that tomorrow. Very good. I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Excellent class.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day, guys.
everyone.
See you
Bye.
tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye, man. See you later.